well, Vassar put me where I am today. And I was really inspired. I was inspired by the people I met there.
Gave you the inspiration to create.
Well,
and not to be afraid.
Vassar gave me confidence to do really what I wanted to do and to not be afraid of it.
Vassar influenced my life enormously. I feel I changed more in the 4 years that I was at Vassar than I did the whole front part of my life.
I cannot imagine my life without Vassar. Vassar and meeting my husband and having my children are the pivotal moments in my life and influences.
There were so many things I learned at Vassar that kind of set the way I think about life.
That was an experience, being at Vassar with women, that I could never duplicate. A wonderful experience. In my case, I think I probably needed that type of environment to find out exactly who I was and to learn about myself.
In the academic world, having a Vassar degree was a very good thing to have. So.
The standards for courses and the standards, the requirements of students were enormously high.
Clearly the best thing about Vassar was that it was a rigorous academic education, and that training has stood me in good stead in all sorts of things that I've done since then.
It sort of got me set up to do the things that I wanted to do later. In other words, it gave me the confidence to go trotting off to Europe on a one-way ticket and to work for Time Life and to do all the things that I did after that without feeling I couldn't do it.
Vassar clearly was one of the real high points of my life. I walked into Vassar and my eyes just were wide open with amazement.
It made me very critical and discriminating about dumb things. It helped me to focusing on what was, ask good questions.
I think we were very, very privileged.
I would hurry to say that I think that Vassar gave us a wonderful education in how to think. That gave a depth of perception I'm not sure I would have gotten elsewhere. A depth of perception in an environment that was relatively non-judgmental.
Teaching was, I think, fabulous. Such a wonderful school. It was so non-competitive.
My experience of Vassar was one of an institution and of individuals that were extraordinarily flexible and sympathetic to peculiarities.
The thing that I find so extraordinary about Vassar and all of our classes, how unique we all are.
Not only did my love for both art and for music really begin at Vassar, and I will never forget Vassar for that.
The interest that I developed at Vassar I had never had before. Vassar changed my life.
You really think that Vassar prepared you very well for life?
Oh yes. My life would have been very different without Vassar, that's for sure.
I must say that I think my child study experience at Vassar did have an impact.
That there was something about the Vassar woman that was unique.
Vassar students who became extraordinary women in every way.
After my husband passed away and I had to become boss, then Vassar really got to be very important in my life, and I think of it often as having given me courage, that I really developed a lot of courage, the resources and the resourcefulness. It kind of sustained me through a whole lot of stuff that is now over, thank goodness.
As I look back, I am thrilled that they allowed us to do the thesis they did. It was so instructive. It allowed us to, academically have to put something in writing and then translate it onto the stage, which is very exciting. When I look back at the music, I used, my thesis was all Stravinsky. I mean, to this day, I think, wow, how did I edit all that? But I did.
To be up there on that campus was such
yeah.
a privileged experience.
I was interested that your father was the one who chose Vassar.
Yes, that's interesting. When my sister was about to go to college, my father took a special trip and saw the seven sisters, and I think he picked Vassar because he felt it was the most broad-minded.
Meeting those professors and being in that atmosphere for 4 years, it made me so different.
Did you appreciate it at the time? Were you aware of this? Because I don't think I was.
I think I had a feeling that the whole world was going to be like Vassar when I got out.
I do remember thinking that I made a mistake because I wasn't sure that Vassar was intellectually demanding enough for me. Because it was partly my fault that I didn't.
You didn't know?
No, I didn't always push myself as hard as
I didn't.
I should have.
Well, I
sometimes took the easy way.
I don't think I really lived up to my potential at Vassar. I think it was a great experience being exposed to a different way of life. It was good for me socially, culturally, but scholastically, I don't think I took full advantage of it.
I left after the third year. I never felt comfortable, and I'm sorry that I didn't finish. I'm sorry I wasn't smart enough at that time to take advantage of all that Vassar offered.
What do you feel that you missed?
I missed taking advantage of the wonderful education and the opportunities to work in small classes with very bright students and wonderful professors. But at that time, I wasn't aware.
I don't think that I appreciated it academically. I took so little advantage of what I could have. But I do remember senior year thinking to myself, this is a wonderful time, and how lucky I am to be here.
I've been amazed and deeply grateful at how the Vassar that we knew was flexible and imaginative enough to let a person who was so different and who really didn't fit into the standard model still bloom and become what she could. I don't know what college could do better.
I really realized how much I enjoyed Vassar too, especially when I started to travel. Once I started to travel and could put all those, the art classes and everything came alive to me. Vassar somehow gave me the fundamental base that I could just enjoy all that life. Otherwise, I don't know that I would have put it all together.
I loved Vassar. I loved going to classes.
It was great. It was the best education you could have gotten. And it was such a beautiful place. The faculty.
Certainly its name.
It certainly was a unique institution when we were there.
Yeah. And it also empowered me because it was as a women's college taught by, not entirely by women of course, but with a number of very strong female professors. We were left with the notion that we could do anything. And that we could do anything that a man could do, and I think that's very important.
I think Vassar gave us a very good sense of the world and the value of a liberal arts education. That really does teach you how to think for yourself and to be open to many, many different fields. I think that was probably the biggest contribution it made.
The only criticism I actually have of Vassar is that everybody worked very hard to teach you something, but no one ever said, why don't you do something with it? Suggested a career, because I think they took it for granted we weren't going to have one.
We were never even told we were supposed to have careers, it was just this great void. You finished college and then you probably went off and got married. That was what was expected of you.
There were plenty of people who I think would have made a contribution in a career had they been encouraged to do so.
In our class, they did it anyway.
I have a bone to pick with Vassar. I met Ray the day I graduated. The next thing you know, married and 3 children. My life was suddenly something that Vassar never dealt with or prepared me for. I think they created a utopia. It was how I would balance this with my interests and my intellectual desires with a family life. It was simply not an issue.
I sort of knew what direction I was going in. Right from the beginning, I think a lot of people do graduate from college without any idea really what they're going to do with the education.
How do you reconcile having a professional career or conscientiously bringing up children. I don't know what the answer would be. I think it's a dilemma for women. I don't know what Vassar could have done. I don't think that Vassar prepared me. This is Vassar's fault, of course not.
I was a geology major. So I took a lot of economics and I took a lot of political science. And I've really used every bit of it because that's how I got interested in environmental concerns. And I started off teaching at Audubon many, many years ago, and how I got interested in planning and zoning issues and open space acquisition. And yet I always had this interest in political science and economics because that ties into resource management, and got interested in municipal government. And so it all dovetailed with absolutely everything I took at college, and I needed every single course that I took to sort of get the groundwork for what I've done.
Ray has put it very bluntly to me. He said, if you didn't go to Vassar, I wouldn't have married you.